present For the Record.
You can see it, Brian, it's huge!
Just ahead, after storms rip through Dane County, leaving some without power for days, tips to plan for next time. Plus, forever chemicals found far more dangerous than before.
That's less than one drop of water in an Olympic-sized swimming pool.
But first, a pandemic milestone many are waiting for.
The parents are calling us saying, when can my child get the vaccine?
Welcome to For the Record. I'm Naomi Coles. By the time this broadcast airs, a COVID vaccine for children younger than 5 years old may be cleared by the FDA and CDC. Now, that's after FDA advisors cleared it this week 21-0. Now, that means that toddlers could start getting vaccinated within days if the state also gives its stamp of approval. Now, this is a long-awaited milestone in the years-long pandemic, and I am joined by SSM Health's Mo Kharbat to discuss. Mo, how does this feel?
It feels great. It means to us that this age group that could not get a vaccine up until now, that the wait is almost over, and it could be as early as this coming week, that they will be able to get the COVID vaccine finally.
So as I just mentioned, we are almost there, but there are still several steps to go. So how long, realistically, before a parent in the Madison area can get their toddler a vaccine?
It could be a few days. It could be quicker than that. We've seen the CDC act very, very quickly, especially when there is public interest in a certain decision, like in this case, allowing the vaccine to be available to children under 6 months and up. This is an age group that up until now does not have a vaccine protection against COVID. So now that the FDA advisory panel gave their thumbs up, it is expected that the CDC will do the same. The advisory committee for the CDC meets today and tomorrow. So it's highly anticipated that by Sunday or Monday, we could get an all clear from the CDC to begin shipping the vaccine to vaccinators and other clinics.
And just a real quick note for viewers here, we are taping on Friday, so hence that timeline. My next question here, what is the demand like? So what is SSM Health hearing from parents, from patients, in terms of how many do you think are going to be stepping up to actually get this for their child?
There's interest, definitely. Parents are calling us saying, when can my child get the vaccine, especially if they want to travel, or especially if they intend to hopefully just go back to normal and allow their kids to mix with other kids and go to activities indoors and outdoors and without having to worry about COVID. So we're getting phone calls and requests from patients saying, when can I get the vaccine for my children? So we expect the demand to be there, especially at first, especially in the beginning.
Now, we've been through this process before, but this time we are dealing with very young children, and there are parents who are extremely likely to have concerns. What would you say to a parent who may feel that the risk of a new vaccine is far higher than a virus that might cause a small child very minimal symptoms?
Well, according to the studies that both companies submitted to the FDA and what the FDA's advisory panel reviewed this week, these studies show that the vaccines, both Pfizer's and Moderna's for this age group, are both safe and effective. They're very, very effective at preventing serious illness, hospitalizations, and other complications. So the benefit of getting the vaccine protection definitely outweighs the risk or any risk that could come with the vaccine, which, again, according to the studies that we saw, the risk for any serious complications is very low. So that's what we know about the safety and efficacy of the vaccines. But if a parent is still concerned, if they have any questions, I recommend that they contact their children's pediatrician and ask their questions, raise their concerns, and get answers to their questions. And hopefully they will decide to get their children protected from COVID.
Do you anticipate, though, that there's going to be a higher level of apprehension than even perhaps the 5 to 17-year-old approval, just because, again, we're dealing with children who are so young?
It is possible because there is the perception that the younger the child is, the less likely they may get COVID, or if they do get COVID, that it will not be symptomatic or it will not be serious at all, which, again, from what we've seen, is that the rate of serious illness with COVID in the younger population is lower than adults. But we also saw serious infections with COVID in this age group. We've seen hospitalizations and other complications. So children are not completely and fully protected or immune from COVID on their own. and hence the need for the vaccine.
Let's talk logistics real quick. So, for example, how soon realistically will, for example, SSM Health have a supply of these vaccines? Do you have them already, or are you just waiting on approval, or do you have to wait for them to be shipped?
We requested the vaccines, just like all other vaccinators across the state, those who are planning on offering the vaccine to this age group. We requested the vaccine through an electronic form that the Department of Health Services in Wisconsin made available to all vaccinators. So we requested the vaccine. We expect it to be shipped as early as Sunday or Monday, as soon as the CDC issues their green light, which is highly anticipated. And here at SSM Health, we're preparing for the arrival of the vaccine. We're creating capacity in our clinics, mainly in our family medicine and pediatrician offices. And we will be ready to offer the vaccine to our patients as soon as it is available to us.
What about children with pre-existing conditions? Are there any additional considerations with that?
Well, children with conditions that may weaken their immune system will need the vaccine perhaps more than other children. So if a child has an immunocompromising condition, or if they take any immunocompromising medications, they should seek the vaccine right away as soon as it's available to this age group. But for other health conditions, that's when they need to discuss these issues with their child's physician to see what the conditions are and if there is any interference with the vaccine or not, and make the decision.
Any differences with the dosage here compared to dosage for adults, dosage for 5 to 17-year-olds? What's the difference in how very small children might be receiving their vaccine?
Yeah, both vaccines from Moderna and Pfizer are smaller doses for this age group. The body mass is smaller, of course, compared to adults, and therefore they don't need the same dose. They need a smaller dose. So in the case of Moderna, it's a smaller dose. In the case of Pfizer, it's a very small dose. It's a tenth of the adult dose. And in the case of Pfizer, that's why the regimen with the Pfizer vaccine for this age group is actually 3 doses and not only 2. Because what the company found after 2 doses, they did not see the immune response significant enough to prevent serious illness with COVID. So they went back and added a 3rd dose. And that is because the dose is very small. So they had to add a 3rd dose to boost or mount an immune response that can be protective against COVID. So these are the differences compared to the adult vaccine. But at these lower doses with the regimen, 3 doses with Pfizer, but 2 with Moderna, both vaccines were found to be very effective at preventing serious illness.
I want to pivot real quick to a different topic, but before we do that, anything I've missed in terms of this specific vaccine?
I think we covered most of the details, but again, if any parents have any specific questions pertaining to the health of their child or the vaccine, or whether the vaccine is appropriate for their children, I recommend that they get a hold of their children's pediatrician and ask the questions.
We'll just want to hit on this real quick, but a name that many might not be familiar with, I wasn't familiar with this, the Novavax vaccine. How would an approval of this 4th type of developing vaccine change the game?
It's a different vaccine. It's a vaccine that's made entirely differently compared to what we've seen so far with the COVID vaccines. The vaccines that we've seen so far are either mRNA vaccines like the Moderna and Pfizer products, or a DNA viral vector vaccine like the one from Johnson & Johnson. But the vaccine that's coming from Novavax is actually a conventional vaccine. It uses viral protein fragments that are then used to create the vaccine. This is exactly how we get some of the flu vaccines. This is how the hepatitis B vaccine is made, the HPV vaccine is made. So this is a technology that's been in place for decades, and it has proven to be very safe and effective. Because with the hepatitis B vaccine, for example, this is a vaccine that's given to very, very young children at birth. So this technology has proven to be very safe and effective. And finally, we have a COVID vaccine using this technology.
And how long before we might see this option?
The FDA's advisory panel gave their thumbs up to okaying the vaccine. But we have not seen the emergency use authorization, and we have not seen the CDC endorsement yet. But everything is expected to happen sometime this summer. The delay is not with the vaccine itself. The vaccine, according to the FDA's advisory panel, is safe and effective. As a matter of fact, it is used internationally in many countries around the world, and according to their experience, it is safe and effective. The reason for the delay is the FDA is looking at the manufacturing facility because the company introduced some changes recently to improve their manufacturing process. The FDA is reviewing that process before they give the green light, but it's expected at some point, sometime this summer.
All right, Mo, thank you so much, as always, for coming on and sharing your expertise.
My pleasure.
All right, when we come back, historic storm damage in Dane County inside the emergency response.